Hi there, this is Solitaire Ronan from Solitaire Ronan Films, and welcome to part 6 of my Claude Chabrol series. This episode is from 1969, and it is Femme, Infidele, or The Unfaithful Wife, which features on Volume 1 of the Claude Chabrol collection from Arrow DVD, sadly, because again it's not on Blu-ray. This is Chabrol continuing with his kind of stock of actors. Stéphane Audran, Michel Bouquet, Maurice Ronay, and the two kind of beatniks from La Biche appear in minor roles as well. This is about a seemingly happy couple who have a 9-year-old boy, and the man begins to suspect that his wife, played by Audran, is having an affair, so he employs a private detective to find out, and she is having an affair with Maurice Ronay, and the man, played by Michel Bouquet, turns up at Maurice Ronay's front door and has a chat with him, and then something else happens, which for spoilers I cannot tell you. But needless to say, the police are involved, and it gets all rather juicy and delicious. But I can't tell you the ingredients. So again, this is another Chabrol slow burn. He sets up this kind of image of the perfect family, with soft focus and kind of idyllic. They live out in the country, but you can kind of see with little visual hints that the couple are a little bit out of sync. So they don't seem to have a physical relationship. They only really kind of come together with their son, and they're kind of just happy when they're with their son. Early on, they decide to have a night out, and when Helene, Audran's character, wants to dance, Charles doesn't want to dance, and then when he is in the mood for dancing, Helene is exhausted. So there's just little kind of hints that they're not in sync and there's something missing. You can tell from the opening credits, which are the same credits as La Biche, Chabrol's last film. The music is kind of tinkling piano, and there's also an undercurrent of violins. So we kind of know, thanks to our film history, that tinkling piano is usually not a good sign. There's long stretches of the film that doesn't have music, including the fantastic scene where the husband and the lover meet and have a conversation, because he gets into Maurice Ronay's house by under the ruse that they have an open marriage, and you ask them how it's going and things like that. That's done without music. There's great scenes after the meeting of tension, which Chabrol is really good at in this and future films like Le Boucher. Chabrol's creeping camera is back at work, slowly creeping round doors, and otherwise he kind of frames the family at their home having picnics and things like that very stately and very almost framed like a painting. Again, it's a slow burn for people used to Hollywood pacing. It might be a little slow, and to be honest, even for me it's perhaps a little slow, but you just really enjoy the three main performances. Audran's fantastic as always, Bouquet's wonderful again, Chabrol at his best. It's all about small movements, it's all about little glances. There's no blame really put at either the husband or the wife. Chabrol just essentially gives you the facts. He doesn't particularly blame to why Audran's having the affair. You could argue it's not particularly fleshed out, but then it doesn't really need to be. There's a great line during the wonderful scene between the husband and the lover, where Ronnie asks him, aren't you a little perverse for like asking these questions of how he's getting on with his wife? And Bouquet answers, no, I'm just entertained. Again, that might be Chabrol talking about the audience. Who knows? This film allegedly has been remade 3 times, because it's such an interesting story. It doesn't end perhaps in the way you think, because there's Audran and Ronnie talk about, because Ronnie's got 2 kids, but he only sees them like once a month, and Audran says that she couldn't live without her son, and her husband couldn't either. So that perhaps gives a little hint about what's to come. It's really difficult to kind of skirt round what actually happens, but for those of you who haven't seen it, you're just going to have to watch it and then let me know what you think of it. Like all Chabrol in this period, late 60s, early 70s, when he's kind of on top of his game, or getting on top of his game, his compositions are really nice. And again, it's all about small details. There's not a lot of kind of big bombastic things that are going on. Things are dealt with fairly matter-of-factly. We're not actually sure what Michel Bouquet does, but he has a rather interesting secretary who wears miniskirts and serves drinks in the office, which is quite bizarre, because he just asks for a beer and she brings beer. It's Not sure where they work, but sounds like quite an interesting place. Yeah, it's one of Chabrol's best films. Again, it's not my favourite. I think if you've watched these films, you might get the feeling that Le Boucher is my favourite, which is coming possibly in part 8, because part 7 is The Beast Must Die. Yeah, The Unfaithful Wife, or La Femme Infidele. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen it and what you think of it. I would recommend picking it up. Again, his films for some reason you can't get in Blu-ray, and again, if anybody knows where you can get them in Blu-ray, let me know. But if you can pick up The Arrow Volume 1 and 2, because again this has 8 films, so Kella Bet Muir is next, and then Le Boucher. It helps if you're a fan of Stéphane Dran, and who isn't, and Maurice Ronay and Michel Bouquet. So again, this is Chabrol, his almost stock company of actors, which you would use again and again in this period. It's a beautiful looking film, which would look a lot better on Blu-ray, and it's really smart, and the things that happen after the husband and lover meet are a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about La Femme Infidele, apart from try and watch it if you can on some format. So thanks very much for watching. I apologise if I haven't described it very well without giving away what actually happens, and hopefully we'll see you for part 7 of the Claude Chabrol season. This is Solitude saying farewell and have a pleasant evening.